Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever just looked at the world and thought, how on earth did we get here? I'm not just talking about the big battles or the famous names you learned in school. I mean, what are the deep currents, the real engines that have been pushing us forward for thousands of years? So let's really dig into this. What are the fundamental forces that have truly shaped our world? It's never just one thing, right? It's always this powerful combination of different factors, all building on each other over time. Well, it turns out we can break it down into three core forces. You could call them the great engines of history. First, you've got the power of big ideas. Then, there's the massive impact of connections between different people and cultures. And finally, you have the structures we build to organize ourselves. Understanding how these three engines work together, well, that's the key. All right, let's kick things off with that first engine, the incredible power of a big idea. Now, these aren't things you can touch or hold, but man, they can build empires, topple kings, and literally guide the daily lives of billions of people. They're like the invisible architecture of our societies. And ideas don't get much bigger than religion. I mean, take a look. On one side, you have Buddhism, with its core idea of a path to enlightenment. It started in ancient India and went on to shape cultures all across Asia. Then, on the other side, you've got the rise of Islam, where the simple, powerful idea of one God united tribes and built a massive empire. Two totally different ideas, both with world-altering power. Political ideas can be just as game-changing. Take the word democracy, born way back in ancient Greece. The idea that power should belong to the people, not some king or emperor, was completely radical for its time. And that single idea didn't just stay in Athens. It echoed through the centuries, inspiring totally new ways of setting up governments all over the world. Okay, so let's move on to our second engine, this world of connections. You know, no civilization is an island. A huge part of history is what happens when different groups of people interact, or collide, or even decide to cooperate with each other. And these connections, they're not always peaceful, not by a long shot. Just look at this map of the Mongol Empire. This is a perfect example of connection by conquest. By creating the biggest land empire in history, they basically smashed East and West together, forcing a connection that sped up the flow of everything: goods, new ideas, and yeah, even diseases. But conquest isn't the only way to connect. Fast forward to the modern world and you see the rise of connection by cooperation. Think about organizations like UNESCO, which were created specifically to build links between nations through peaceful dialogue and culture. It's a huge shift, you know? From connections made by the sword to ones built on trying to understand each other. And this brings us to our third and final engine, the structures we build. I mean, to organize societies with millions of people, you have to create systems, laws, institutions. These structures are the very frameworks that hold our civilizations together. Think about the Roman Empire. We all picture the Colosseum, right? These giant physical structures. But Rome's real strength was in its invisible structures, its incredibly complex legal system, its rigid social order, and political groups like the Senate. That was the framework that let it govern a huge territory for hundreds of years. And of course, these structures change over time. For a huge chunk of history, monarchy was the default setting. Power is passed down through a family and held by one person. But then, as ideas like democracy started to spread, a whole different structure popped up. The republic, where power rests with the people, who then elect representatives. It's a completely different way of organizing a society. Today, these structures are, well, they're global. Take the World Trade Organization, for example. It's basically a framework of rules that organizes the entire global economy. This kind of massive international body, affecting how money and goods flow across the entire planet, is a direct descendant of those simpler structures built by empires long ago. So there you have it, three engines. Ideas, connections, and structures. But what happens when they all start firing at once, faster and faster than ever before? Well, that leads us right to our shared global future. In our world today, everything is hyper-connected, and those three forces are interacting at unbelievable speeds. The internet spreads an idea instantly. Global trade creates constant connections.
International groups create structures that cover the globe. It's all accelerating and changing our world at a pace that can feel, honestly, a little dizzying.
And that leaves us with one last really big question. We've seen how ideas, connections, and structures have driven history up to this point. But as technology keeps speeding everything up, from AI to genetic engineering, you have to wonder, what's going to be the next great engine to shape the future for all of us?